conditions in '78.
Well, somebody said you ought to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Actually, in 1978, the Nobel Peace Prize would be shared by Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin for their landmark peace agreement. And while not nearly as significant as the state of the Middle East, the New York Yankees had also risen above their discord to reach a détente. For Jackson and the Yanks, the '78 home opener would be a sweet one, as fans were given a candy bar named after Reggie. And when they were treated to a homer in his first at-bat.
Welcome to Fenway Park. Hi, and welcome to MVP Baseball. This is Dwayne Kuiper with Mike Krukow. Should be a great night for a ball game. We should have a good one. Ready to throw the game's first pitch, Oliver Perez. Tonight's teams are the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and the Boston Red Sox. Here's the game's first batter, Carl Crawford.
How can you win the Cy Young Award and then go out and get another guy to take your place?
He's being used in the fifth inning, which is not Sparky Lyle time the way he sees it, and they want him to go out for the sixth inning. He's in the clubhouse, he won't come out. Billy sends Art Fowler, his pitching coach, to the clubhouse, and he says, tell Billy, I'm a closer, I'm not a middle
This left-hander is one of the best hitters in baseball.
Gossage's early season struggles only amplified the issue.
There's a strike, the slider.
Man, I stunk the joint up. I couldn't get anybody out. I lost the ball game every way conceivable. I'd come to the mound in Munson and say, how you going to lose this one?
He would pitch, guys would draw, not him again.
And on 3 pitches, he's gone.
But he gets ahead of him, he never looks back. Sweet strikeout.
This is one of the best hitters in baseball.
And as the calendar turned to June, the rest of the Yankees began to flounder.
He opens up on one and hits a line drive. He's on first with a base hit.
Or have gotten a big hit. Hitting is as much Miller as it is the biggest problem wrong. The batter's got to know what he can do, what the situation is at all times.
The Sox had finished just 2.5 games behind New York in '77 and had entered the '78 season feeling good about themselves.
4 pitches to choose from.
I'm not a guy to predict Eastern Division championships, but I know we're a hell of a ball club and we're going to be tough to beat.
Boston had the best hitting lineup that I've ever seen.
High drive, center field, Rivers going back, it's off the wall.
You had Lynn.
Tell you what, this guy's got an uncanny knack for picking good pitches to steal on. He may be going right here.
You had Scott, you had Hobson. All of those guys hit 20, 30.
Perez gets the strikeout.
They had so much power from top to bottom of the lineup. It was just amazing.
That's Boston's third home run in a row.
And if you look
Here's
at them,
the batting order for the home team.
as far as how they were in the field, they had a Gold Glover, a catcher.
Today's starter for the visiting team, Horacio Ramirez. And here's a look at the defense.
I mean, they were just an incredible line.
But what made this Red Sox team special was the pitching staff. They'd signed eventual 16-game winner Mike Torres away from the Yankees. Traded for rising star Dennis Eckersley and paired them with former All-Stars
Ball and no
Boone
strike.
and Luis Tiant.
Sometimes you try to make a hit
top to bottom rotation.
exactly what you saw
The
right
early results were quite impressive.
2-0.
He averaged about 3 walks per 9 innings. Not
It was
terrible,
nothing
but
for
not
us to
great.
win series and score 30 runs in a series and let the other team score 3 or
Balls
4.
in 1
The
strike.
Red Sox were on a roll and threatening to run away with the division. It seemed as if Boston's bomb squad was on their way for a chance at their first World Series title
Good
in
start to the
16
inning.
years.
Leadoff single. Next at the plate, Mike
As the Los
Lowe.
Angeles Dodgers began
Like
their
most
National
runs,
League title
he
defense
loves
in
facing off.
1978,
The runner at first
they
is
had to
off.
feel good about themselves.
Into
In
second
77,
safely with
they
a
seemingly
steal.
done the impossible
Partner,
by
that guy had a
defending the
huge
two-time
lead over
champion
there.
Reds.
The pitcher fell
But in
asleep and forgot
78,
all
the
about it.
Dodgers would be hunted, and Cincinnati was taking direct aim at them.
1 year doesn't make
And the
you
count is
a wonder,
0-2.
you know, you
He's
have to
throwing
do it more than
192
once. I would
innings
like
this
to
season,
prove
and
one
against the
thing,
batters are hitting
that the
respectable
Dodgers are
average
not
of
any
2
better than we are, and that maybe we are the best team still in life.
His quick reaction
And
on
with
the make
four
play and
former
line drive.
MVPs in their everyday lineup, and one of the league's best pitchers in Tom Seaver, the
Like
big
most
red
rivals,
machine
he
was
loves
humming
facing off
nicely.
against left-handed
George
pitching.
Foster began smacking homers. Pete Rose was banging out
plate
hits.
for a strike.
Rose lines one.
And Seaver threw his first career no-hitter.
Painted the inside corner.
I've watched him learn to advance only with finger on a hit to center.
The Reds had fired the first salvo and waited to see how the Dodgers would respond.
When you try to define pressure, I think the greatest definition is it's something that comes from within only because of the fear of failing. And we don't ever think about failing.
That was an impressive triple. He hit the ball to a good spot, put his head down, and just kept on running until his base coach said, stop.
With a cast of excellent veterans like Steve Garvey, Ron Cey, Davey Lopes, Reggie Smith, Tommy John, and Don Sutton, the Dodgers had the talent and the hunger to repeat.
Benson makes his way to the plate.
Don't have the same attitude. We're going to go out there.
Ramirez deals a strike. The count is 0-1.
We want to get back to the World Series.
And led by their manager, Tommy Lasorda, the Dodgers stayed the course.
And a run comes home.
Tom froze to keep us focused. He tried to keep it light, which is Tom's a master at that. Levity was important.
Well, what do you think I should do? Take him out or leave him in? All right, I'm going to take him in.
But the Dodgers could respond to the whip, as was evidenced in an early season game against the Reds, with Tommy John protecting a small lead.
That strike one
comes out.
He brings a good four-seam fastball, a slide piece, and a two-seamer.
I said, I'm fine.
The ball is hit right back up the middle. He's on first with a base hit.
And they were going to kill me if I didn't get a ground ball.
Mahomes digs in at the plate. Misses outside.
This dude's got some wheels and he knows how to pick a pitch to move on. Don't be surprised if he's taking off right here.
That was Lasorda.
While the
1-1
Brazilian
count.
Dodgers were doing their best to cope with meeting lofty expectations, the Philadelphia Phillies were consumed.
Inside corner for a strike.
That's pinpoint control right there. The catcher set a target on the corner, and the pitcher just hammered it for a strike. Sometimes you try to make a hit chase. That's exactly what you saw right there.
And I think that if they don't do more than that this season, however, a lot of people are going to be a little disappointed.
He waited too long before deciding to swing
The
right there and
Phils
knocked
were
it
on a
foul.
mission. The
That'll do it
franchise
for
had
the
never
inning.
won a World Series, hadn't been to one since 1950, had suffered back-to-back frustrating
one inning, the
postseason
score is
defeats in
2-0.
76 and 77.
Today's
The
game is
Phils
brought to you
clearly
by
had something
EA
to
Sports.
prove
EA
in
Sports, it's in the game. This
This year,
batter
I
is no
think that the
slouch when
Phillies
he bats
players
against
and the entire
softball.
organization, even the Phillies fans are saying,
He
let's
gets
go
it
get
over
it.
for a strike.
The Phils were a collection of all-stars, gold glovers, home run champs, and
puts
Cy
it
Young
away.
Award winners.
That's a great
But
play
as
on
a
a very
unit,
tough
they
line
moved
drive.
beyond
That's one of the
individual
toughest balls in
motivation.
baseball to judge.
They were playing for one reason only, to win a championship.
Slow roller up the third
For us
base
to
line.
fall short in the playoffs hurt a lot. A lot of focus was put on that. You know, they're a great team, but they can't win the big one. And then, you know, until you can do that, you're never going to be one of the all-time great teams. And the players are never going to be referred to as all-time great players.
Playing
The count's
each
1-2.
game with a chip on their shoulder, the Phils took the division lead in June while yearning for October. If any
2-2
single
the
team
count.
could relate to the
Going out of the
Phillies'
zone.
plight, it
Fish
was
weren't
the
biting.
Kansas City Royals. 2 years in a row, the AL West champs had lost the pennant in the
count is
last
full.
inning of the
Bad
last
idea
game
right there.
to the
Trying to
Reds.
get the batter to chase, and now he's further behind the count.
Unbelievable.
But the Royals had distinguished
Jammed him with
themselves
that
by
pitch.
playing valiantly in defeat, especially their all-star third baseman, George Brett.
Hit for right field. It's gone. There it is. The ball game is tied.
You know, we had some tough
Ground ball
losses
pulled
to
down to the left side.
And you had the guy that's supposed
1,
to get
2,
it done.
3, and the inning is over.
I felt very comfortable with the game on the line to be the guy up in the batter's box. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth.
Heading into the
A lot
bottom of the
guys don't want
second,
to be
the
in that
score
position.
is 2-0.
I always wanted to be that guy.
Very quiet.
Now on to the bottom of the order.
He is out there with none stone.
In 78, the Royals would need
Ramirez
Brett's confidence
misses,
to fight
and
off
the
a
count is
rising
1-0.
California Angel team who had signed budding star lineman Bostock for big money.
Gets
to
a
bolster
strike
their
high in
attack.
the strike zone.
This guy was on
That
his
is
way
pinpoint
all-
control
he was on his
right
way
there.
to
The catcher set a
this
target
kid
on the
could
corner,
throw
and the
out
pitcher just
But when
hammered
Bostock
it
got
for a
off to a
strike.
slow start, he
He's
made the
registered
most
12 wins
unusual
and
of
14
gestures.
losses this season.
He felt guilty about taking his
Pitch
check.
misses for a
And he
ball.
took his check and donated it to his church.
because he said, I deserve this money. As soon as he did that, he caught on fire.
He came up with it.
With him now hot-hitting Bostock, joining forces with slugger Don Baylor and all-star pitchers Nolan Ryan and Frank Tanana, the Angels were hoping to grab the team's first ever playoff berth.
Next up, Jason Merritt.
It was becoming clear that some players were not just having great years, but transcendent ones. And one of those was Pete Rose, who became the 13th player in history to notch 3,000 hits.
And it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
And in the summer of '78, he would captivate the entire baseball world as he began an assault on one of the most hallowed records in sports.
This guy gets right in there and breaks up the bat. I mean, he loves to break wood.
Would you be very upset if he broke it? It wouldn't upset me. You know, I've had a lot of admiration for Rose.
Stepping in, Manny Ramirez.
Admiration for him should he do.
Game after game, Rose would not only perpetuate the streak,
okay, this dude kills balls up in the zone,
but embrace the excitement that it was generating.
It was quite a few on the side, though, with the hand they gave me. I wish I could have just called time and shook hands with every one of them.
Pete thoroughly enjoyed it. Pete loved the limelight, and as that streak stretched on and on and on, he had the interviews every night, the press corps following him.
Sometimes you try to make the hit chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
Hit towards second base. It's a 1-2-3 inning.
And in the 45th
after 2 innings,
he finally
the score
did
is
go
2-0.
But not before tying the second
The next
longest
batter
hit
is
streak
Sean
in history.
He hung with them for 44 straight games. One of the most remarkable batting feats, especially for a 37-year-old player.
Count.
Rose's torrid hitting was helping the Reds keep pace with the Dodgers. While at Fenway Park, Jim Rice of the division-leading Red Sox was also having a remarkable season.
Jones is next. This guy's in the middle of the pack when it comes to facing left-handers.
Was almost unforgettable, and how hard he hit the ball at times.
There's a line drive. Ramirez puts it away for the out. Next at the plate, Harold Crawford.
They couldn't get him out.
Two outs and nobody on.
But he rarely did.
Out of the
Rice
zone, that's
was
a
on
ball.
his way to leading the league in home runs, triples, RBIs, slugging percentage, and total bases.
Long drive to deep left going.
He just crushed it.
And the fans stand up and turkey.
What a shot!
To watch.
And what was equally amazing
It's
was
off
the
the
season
wall.
of Yankee
He's
pitcher
rounding
Ron
first.
Guidry was putting together.
Two-base hit.
Every time he
They needed a big hit like that. This guy's got things going. What a good piece of hitting. He got himself a double.
He struck him out.
He was electrifying.
Up next,
He had a great fastball, outstanding control, and he had a slider that disappeared.
Big part of this guy loves pitches down the zone.
That year, Guidry's slider was incredible. Nobody could lay off of it. As soon as he got 2 strikes, especially in Yankee Stadium, everybody's like
cashing in.
Every time they screamed, the
see if they
guy's
can knock in that guy's second score.
Guidry would win his first 13 decisions in '78, including a memorable shutout over the Angels.
2 balls,
His
2
slider
strikes.
got better and better as the game progressed, and towards the end of the ball game, he was unhittable.
And here's the delivery. Fly ball hit deep to left field. The side is retired. The home team coming up next.
He probably had the greatest year.
After 2.5,
individual
Boston
year
leads
of
by
any pitcher
2.
in the history of the game.
But for the Yankees in the first half of '78, Guidry
Hey,
was
this
the
guy's a
only
play
one
flat out
providing
fly. You
any
better
threats
go right
as the
after it because you
team
don't want to
continued
put him on for
stumble.
free.
This infuriated their owner, George Steinbrenner, who took action.
He had everybody come to the clubhouse and told
He
everybody
flips it to
sit
the
in your
pitcher
locker
covering.
and
One out.
you stand right here.
He's out.
And he proceeded to run down his lineup. That lineup lasted one night.
Lowell is next
You
up.
go to yourself, who's this guy that has a shipbuilding company that knows about this damn game?
And the shipbuilders meddling only rocked the boat further, as it infuriated his manager, Billy Martin, who in turn directed some of his frustration toward Reggie Jackson, the owner's prized free agent pickup of a year ago.
each day you could feel the tension as a sports writer walking into that clubhouse. If you walked up to Reggie, you saw Billy looking out from his office. What is he saying? Is he talking about me?
The relationship finally exploded on July 17th in an extra inning game against Kansas City.
He's on with a one-out single.
The hitter does a great job.
So Reggie was short of point. He was able to get a mess, and he's saying he wants me to bunt. So he bunts once badly. Billy takes off the sign. Reggie keeps bunting. I'll show him.
But it was Martin who showed Jackson
Double play
as he
situation.
suspended him
Pitcher's
for
got to try
5
and keep the ball
games,
down here
and
and
then
force the hitter to
demanded
hit
an
the ball on the ground.
apology upon Reggie's return to the team.
The way that they have interpreted
He's around second.
apology is more, but the way I've interpreted it,
there's the double.
All right, let's see if they can take advantage of that now. They've got that guy in scoring
beside
position.
himself with anger. How dare he not apologize? And then he said it. He said, one's a born liar and the other's convicted. Now, the deal is, the born liar is Reggie, the convicted liar is George.
Billy had gone too far and would be forced to resign.
All this guy's got to do is hit the ball marginally deep. They should score the run from third easily.
Line drive, hit back up the middle. A run scores. A 2 RBI single.
The Yankees were in chaos, and more than 10 games out of first place. It seemed that if they were going to repeat as champions, they would need a miracle. Not long after the All-Star break, the Dodgers would play their best ball of the season. And it would be Pete Rose's Reds who would wilt in August. The Big Red Machine was aging, while the Dodgers were fueled by young Bob
This dude
Welch,
right here is a
an
great
unflappable
contact hitter.
mid-season
They
call.
may be thinking about hitting and running right here.
There's a lot of things that you have to adapt to, but it's still a good old game.
And a bit low. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Whether starting or closing,
trying to make the batter
the hard-throwing rookie gave LA's pitching
Runners
a
on
huge
first and
boost,
second with the
while the
walk.
veteran Reggie Smith proved to be the savior for the offense.
Reggie Smith literally carried our ball club. Reggie Smith has to be the MVP
Watch
of the
this left
National
fielder.
League
He's got
in
one heck of an arm.
We were back. The magic was back, and we were going to win it all.
LA was returning to the postseason, which was the only place the 78 Phillies wanted to be.
I'll tell you, Kite, that was
But
not
to
the
get
result he
there,
was
they
looking
would have to
for.
fight off the Pittsburgh
Here's a guy who doesn't
Pirates, who
exactly
made a
sit
great
the way
charge to try and steal the division. In the end, however, the Phils held firm and won their 3rd straight division crown.
Really what's important once you
towards
get over
second
that
base.
initial hurdle is what can you do
And the
in the
inning is
future?
over with 2
How
runners
good
left
can you
on
be in
board.
front of the country, in front of the world?
With 3
in a big
innings
series?
played, the score is 4
Phillies
to
were going
nothing.
to get another chance to
Now
find
the
out.
pitcher's got to face
As
this
with the
team's big
Royals,
hitters.
KC was able to outlast the Angels down the stretch. California would then be further devastated by the shooting death of their new star, Lyman Basta.
As a manager of a ball club, you lose a player, but as a man, you lose a friend.
While the Angels grieved, back east, one of the great pennant races in history was still unfolding between Boston and New York, 2 long-time
I'll tell you, partner,
rivals.
this pitcher's got to be
In
careful
recent
with this
years,
guy. He's
these
got
AL East
great wheels that can
powerhouses
turn a
have been
single into a
battling
double.
each other with an edge.
I'll tell you, partner, this pitcher's got to be careful with this guy. He's got great wheels that can turn a single into a double.
Yankees did not like
The pitch is taken out to right.
And when I played with the Red Sox,
Puts it away for the out. The Devil Rays are getting their bullpen ready.
Playing the Red Sox, I just get full of fury and I want to beat the ball club as best I, just more than anything in the world.
The 78 pennant race would turn out to be one of the most intense battles in their shared history. But it didn't seem that way in mid-July, as the Red Sox were 14 games up on the Yankees and sporting the best record in baseball.
Ground ball to the shortstop.
Feeling as I look down on the field.
Perez retires the side in order. Going into the bottom of the 4th, Tampa Bay trails by 4.
Change that vision. And it
Next up, Jason Barrington.
hiring Bob Leonard to replace Billy Martin as the manager.
Things that got them too out of control with
Pitcher's lucky that slaughter wasn't hit a mile.
And
that a very hittable pitch go
nobody better to bring in as manager than Bob Lemon, who was just laid-back guy who let the players play. He was like the anti-Billy.
The Yankees would also benefit from a New York newspaper strike that began on August 10th. The media feeding frenzy that had surrounded the team had suddenly been replaced by an air of calm.
That particular time, we kind of needed that. It gave us a chance to kind of focus on baseball.
Strike three, and he's gone.
It wasn't like who, it wasn't like
hey, Kai, he was able to get ahead of the count. The batter never caught
up. And there was the
strikeout.
unexpected revival of Catfish Hunter, the former Cy Young Award winner, who had been pitching in all season. But then, in early August, after a shoulder manipulation, Catfish miraculously regained his old magic.
Suddenly he was pitching beautifully. He wasn't throwing as hard, but he was such a
just out of the fielder's reach.
And he was such a smart pitcher, and he was so courageous.
He's on first with a base hit.
He was able to just win almost every start he had.
And while Catfish was helping bolster the rotation, the Goose had become a true bully in the plate.
This guy from both sides of the plate, he puts up better numbers batting left-handed. The count's 0-1.
That glare, that stare, and came at you with arms and legs.
And the hitters didn't have a
chance of catching that one.
Strike three, nervous time is over.
With Goose slamming him shut and Guidry continuing his
foul ball
season,
hit down the right side.
The Yankees soon began to click on all cylinders.
We go out, win,
a liner.
Start to go by, and you're just winning.
He's on first with a base hit. He's done for the day.
You continue to live in that standing, on this Boston game. And all of a sudden, what you saw was they're losing.
I had a great hitting lineup, and all of a sudden, as a team, we stopped hitting. We couldn't score a run.
Stepping in, 1 for 2. Mike
and as the lead began to melt away, the Yankees claimed the psychological high ground.
In our hearts, we knew we were better than us. And we also knew they were afraid of us.
It's no thing is choke. You know, you can go out there, you're not playing aggressive ball. It's not choking. And when guys just walk on the field and give up, that's choking.
In early September, New York, trailing by 4 games,
territory, makes the
Fenway for a 4-game series.
The next batter is Miguel Cabrera. He delivers.
Rivers is in the score. Base hit. Here comes Panola, and 2 runs scored.
We jumped on him real quick and
popped him up.
never let up. I think at one point we batted around twice.
That's the
before
final out, inning over.
Once we got rolling, they couldn't stop us. The feeling in Fenway Park was just, the silence was deafening. You just couldn't believe how.
After 4, the score is 4-0.
The series would become known as the Boston Massacre, as the Yankees won all 4 games, outscoring the Red Sox 42-9.
But he does all right.
I remember during the Boston Massacre, a fan came down from way up in the upper boxes and just leaned over in the dugout, was screaming at Zimmer.
The teams were tied for first,
to the
but
right
headed
side.
in opposite directions.
There's an out.
And the next weekend, the Yankees moved 3.5 games ahead of Boston. But just when all hope seemed lost, the ridiculed Red Sox rose from the dead and made a gallant final charge. Incredibly, they won their last 8 games of the season.
Talk about the comeback. To me, our team made the comeback.
Fittingly, Boston caught New York on the last day of the season, setting up a 1-game playoff to decide the winner once and for all.
A 3-pitch strikeout.
Harvey gets ahead of him and never looks back. Sweet strikeout. Hey, Kai, as a manager, you hate to see this guy come up. His speed makes him a constant threat.
He belts it way back, and
the Yankees
gone.
and Red Sox were set for a dramatic 1-game playoff. Boston had the comfort of playing at Fenway,
hey, Kai,
but the
there are
Yanks
not too
had
many
the
ballparks that would
security
have
of
held that
throwing
one.
the league's best pitcher, Ron Guidry.
It felt like going up there, with Guidry on the mound, that, we had a great chance of winning the game.
Taking the hill for the Red Sox was ex-Yankee Mike Torres, who had helped New York win the World Series just 1 year before.
I had a lot of butterflies. I was nervous. I knew I was going to have to pitch a good game against them, and just wanted to keep the score close, especially in Fenway.
Pitching the biggest game of the season, Torres would do more than that.
A big strikeout for Mike Torres.
But pitching on 3 days rest for the 3rd straight start, Guidry was running on fumes.
Now after right field,
Out of the zone,
this is
that's
deep,
a ball.
and this ball is gone.
It seemed like it was going to be a great day for Boston, as Red Sox icon Carlos Yossi got them on the board early, and the league's most dominant hitter chipped in.
Ground ball hit the other way to the right side. That'll do it as we go to the bottom of the inning. Score one that half inning.
With Boston out in front, Torres was in complete control and 1 out away from getting through the 7th inning. Then, with 2 on, light-hitting Bucky
Benson taking, and it's inside.
I thought we had it in the bag. 2-0. 7th inning, 2 outs. And I wasn't worried.
Deep to left.
It just kept drifting. We keep looking. You know, we saying go, go, go. And, you know, they're saying
swing.
Hit the wall, hit the wall.
Yastrzemski will not get his home run.
Ball's gone.
Hit deep to center.
A 3-run home run for Bucky.
He's on his way to second.
By a score 3-2.
And he's on with the leadoff double.
Hey, you gotta cash in on leadoff doubles. That's just a great scoring opportunity.
Just like in the first 162, the Yankees had caught and passed Boston. But in a repeat at the season's end, Boston would come back.
Here comes Yastrzemski around third. He will score. It is 5.
This guy isn't great against right-handed pitching, but he does all right.
Appropriately, this game would go to the 9th with the Yankees up 1 run. And right on cue, Boston would mount a rally.
Hit towards the shortstop.
In trouble. In more ways than one.
That sunset right behind home plate and right into the right field. Got it.
Well, the manager can rely on this guy to give you consistent at bat game after game.
I can't see the thing.
Fly ball should be good enough to score that one on 3 balls.
Can't see the ball.
Swings and misses.
I don't see it anymore. And at the last second, the ball comes out of his son. I grabbed it. And I made a nice throw to third base. And we
fly ball taken to left.
He dives and makes a fantastic catch. Where the runner would have been able to score a fly ball from right.
Oh, Ty, this guy's one of the best fielders in the business, and he shows why that diving catch. Great job.
And the ball was high enough for him to see it tagging at second base and going to third as Burrows. Oh, there's 2 outs.
With 5 innings played, the score is 4-1.
Finally, it would come down to one last
Stepping in, 1 for 2, Carl Crawford.
I remember going to bed the night before that playoff game.
Swung right through the pitch on the corner.
Thinking that, man, I'm going to be facing Yastrzemski tomorrow. Yeah, it's for the final out.
Carl Yastrzemski has hit a home run.
Misses outside.
And a single.
If the infield backs up 1 step, he'll put that up on
third base. The winning run is at first base.
I had never been so nervous in a ball game in my whole life.
Now it is up to Yaz.
There were probably 25,000 people in
Deep
the
fly ball to left field. He's got it.
He picked that ball right off the bat, camped on it for an easy out.
Next at the plate, Aubrey Huff.
Popped up. That might be it. Nettles over at third base. He'll squeeze it and it's over.
The Yankees have won the division, beating the Red Sox 5-4 in a game that will go down in history as one of the most memorable hard-fought contests ever.
Gossett had managed to hang on. Guidry won his league lead in 25th game.
Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
It's been a great year for me, and come back and win on the last day of the season.
Gathers it in with his glove.
I don't think that would have meant anything, but when we got guys like Bucky here that come through, you know, everything's rewarded.
You know one thing. That old pass.
Swings and lifts one to right.
You guys did a good job. You had a great year.
As the Phillies and Dodgers got set to square off in their second straight NLCS,
you ask him to get something done, it gets done.
The infield has to be on their toes when this guy digs in. A fraction of a second. That's all he needs to beat out a throw.
Who had beaten Philly in 77.
This dude knows how to steal a bag, and now is a great time
for the rematch.
That's in foul ground, but he should have room. That'll do it for the Devil Rays in the 6th.
And right from game 1,
I'm sure he came out here with the intention of having a great game, but hey, it's baseball. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you plan.
In the opener, Steve Garvey smacked 2 homers to power a Dodger win. And in game 2, Tommy John threw a 4-hit shot.
The Dodgers have won
The Phils were on the brink of another elimination. But back in LA, they would manage to stay alive in Game 3. In the fourth game, however, in the bottom of the 10th inning,
Jackson will take a seat. Strike
they
three.
picked the wrong time.
Okay, this dude needs to keep his head up. This hasn't been his best game. He'll never play under that.
That was a big moment for us, and that door opened up for us, and the good teams take advantage of that.
Bill Russell the batter. The Dodgers have to pin it at second base.
Veritek hits one to deep center. And he makes the catch.
Okay, good jump right there. Good speed, good instincts. That's what led to that catch.
Stepping in, 1 for 2, Manny Ramirez.
For the Dodgers, they're going to have an autumn to anticipate.
I'm really proud of them. I love them. This is the only place to be in the Fall Classic.
And their opponents in the Fall Classic would be the winner of the
That'll do it for the
Yankees
inning.
series.
Side
New
retired.
York had beaten KC in the previous
With 3
two
innings remaining,
championship
the Red
series.
Sox
But
lead
Kansas
by
City
3
was still
runs.
confident, mainly because they still had George Brett.
The game itself is made upon big plays at the right time. And George, we really felt he was our key to helping us beat him.
And with the series tied at
pitch is
1
taken
game
out
apiece
to right.
in the crucial third game,
The
Brett would
catch is
once
made.
again step into
Got
the
a good
spotlight.
jump on the ball.
Brett would eventually hit not one, not two.
Early swing, and he missed it.
This guy can really hurt you when the ball's up in the zone.
And his Royals
The
would
pitch is
take
taken
a
out to
5-4
right.
lead into the bottom of the 8th inning. Now
Makes the
it would be
catch to
Yankees
record
who
the
would
out.
look for a hero and would find a broken down one in their captain, Thurman Munson.
He knew the end was near. Knees, shoulders, he was through. He was never going to be a great hitter again.
And that's a strike swinging.
Slaughter went right through the strike zone. The batter just couldn't touch it.
The ball went 450 feet.
Brinkman
He was
sends this
no
one over
longer
to third.
capable of doing that. And
He's in there with a 2-out single.
Brinkman hit the ball there. It's a good play. But hey, he gets the base hit. That's all you got to do.
When Thurman Munson hit that home run, you say to yourself, not again. You know, this can't be
Takes a
happening
pitch
again.
high.
With one defining blow, Munson had sent the Royals to a crushing Game 3 defeat. And the next night, his Yankees would send the Royals home for a third straight season with a series-clinching Game 4 victory.
1-1 pitch.
And the Yankees win the pennant.
He smoked it. He got it. Great catch in the
The
gap.
team that wouldn't
All right,
die
everybody,
is
up
going
on their
back
feet.
to the
Time for
World
the
Series.
7th inning stretch.
Yeah, I could use a bit of a break.
The 78 World Series pitting the Yankees against the Dodgers would be a rematch of the 77 Fall Classic.
We knew that the Yankees were formidable. Had beaten us the year before.
1, 2,
Obviously,
3
we had some retribution on our minds.
But the Dodgers were also dealing with the
Pitch taken for a
devastating
ball.
death of their beloved coach and lifelong Dodger, Jim Gilliam.
On the left shoulder of the Dodger player, you'll see the number 19. That was Jim Gilliam's number.
It was a sad, sad moment.
Swung early at that
Trust
one.
me, it had an effect on every man in that clubhouse.
Withdraw, please, rise. For a moment of silence.
He crushed that one.
It was pretty tough, to be honest with you. He had a tremendous impact on me. He and I go back a long
Is on
way.
with a double.
And in Game 1,
got good speed.
Davey
That
Lopes
double
was
is
right
really
with
good.
motion as he hit
That with a single, Mike Roll.
Lopes would lead LA to a Game 1 win. And in Game 2, they would look to fireball rookie Bob Welch to fan the flames.
The Red Sox
The
are going to
Dodgers
the
had a
bench.
1-run lead with 2 outs in the ninth as Reggie Jackson came to bat with a chance to win the game. A year ago, Jackson had wrecked the Dodgers, but now LA would ask the rookie to stop him.
I was shaking
God,
my
this team
jaw.
really needs a big hit from this guy right here with a runner on second. A single would do the
Then here
job.
comes Reggie Jackson up. I
And he
started shaking a little
swings
bit
and
more, and the crowd
misses.
started getting a little bit louder.
This crowd will tell you what's happening. Listen to them.
Line straight up the
Terrific
middle.
pitch. The kid challenged
He's
the
rounding
veteran
third.
as the tension mounted.
A run crosses the plate, and he's safe just ahead of the throw.
Bergman did a good job of knocking that run. Hey, they're still threatening.
My stomach was and shortness of breath. The excitement in every swing that he took.
Up next with a double today against the Raiders.
Pitcher versus batter. Confrontation.
Makes the first pitch.
My entire life.
Second is going to be thrown on. He didn't get on the ground on the right side. In that situation, you need to get the shirt out at first. Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase you. It's exactly what you saw right there.
The Dodgers had seemingly taken control of the series.
Going to New York, that's a heck of optimism for us. We were kind of on a high going.
The Yankees were back home and back in a big hole.
Nobody out.
But they were used to digging out of them.
And now it's a full count. He's batting .317. Turns and throws to second.
Somehow, we can win. We can win all of it. We have the team to come back and win.
Didn't get good wood on that one at all.
They had the right pitcher on the mound as well. Ron Guidry had been saving the Raiders all season long. But in this game, it would be their third baseman.
Strolls to the plate. They're going to bring a lefty off the bench to face the right-handed thrower. Here's the pinch hitter, David Ortiz.
They hit the ball to me, seemed like the bases were loaded.
Pitch taken for a ball.
Some kind of a fancy play.
The defensive heroics of Meadows would
Look the runner back on the first. Ground ball to the right side, just go to first. Put that pitcher and catcher have strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
2-1.
I always tease Miller. I say, if I really would have had good stuff, nobody would have known that we were that good at third base.
As Guidry closed the door on the Dodgers. L.A. still owned a 2-1 series lead, but it was
swing and a miss, struck him out.
Hey, sometimes you make a good pitch, and that was one of them. Big strikeout there.
While the Yankees had the momentum going into Game 4, the Dodgers still held a 2-1 series lead and were looking to bury the Yankees. But the Yankees had L.A. right where they wanted them and began to chip away.
The ball is hit out towards third base.
Had the feeling that all we needed
the official score charged him with an error.
To turn the game around.
Now see if that one goes back to hot.
And in the bottom of the sixth, they would get it. Shortstop Bill Russell's throw had hit Reggie. When L.A. came, it was over third.
He knew that one was gone the second he hit it. What a shot.
Was he trying to get out of the way, or was he trying to get in the way? To me, it's obvious that he wasn't trying to get out of the way.
The intensity looked like he got in the way.
He did what he thought he could to help the team. And
here's the pitch.
We got away with that.
Jackson lays off inside for the ball. Silva sets for the 1-0 pitch.
From that point on, the Yankees thought that they could beat us, and truthfully, I don't know what happened to us.
And he swings and misses.
The Dodgers were reeling, and as the game went to extra innings, Lou Piniella looked to land the fatal blow.
Just out of the fielder's reach.
I told Steve Yeager
he flips it to the pitcher covering.
I knew I was going to hit the ball hard somewhere. And the first pitch was a high fastball, aligned at the right center field.
Line drive, base hit. Here comes White.
And the game was over.
The Yankees win.
With 2 innings left,
the
Devil
Yankees had tied the series at 2 games apiece. And in Game 5, the teams would continue to move in opposite directions. The Dodgers were falling apart, while the Yankees were getting unexpected contributions from players like rookie Brian Doyle and Bucky Dent, who was having an October to remember.
Doyle to Turner. Now the number 8 and number 9 hitters in the Yankee order tonight have 6 hits. 3 for Doyle, 3 for Dent.
The Yankees would crush the Dodgers in Game 5 and seize control of the series.
The pitch is taken out to right. Good start to the inning. The leadoff single.
He didn't fool anybody with that pitch.
And
The guy was sitting on the pitch and he just
that in the
rips it
sixth
tonight.
game in L.A., Catfish Hunter would be on the mound to help complete the Yankee comeback. Hunter's own personal journey had mirrored that of his team, and now the resilient Yankees would finish the job.
That year was just really, really a special year. The team itself had such a grit to them, just tremendous competitors.
Here it comes.
Those Yankees,
Berkman
if
puts
they
it away.
had to gnaw off your leg and their
Nothing
leg
special about that.
to
We just picked up
win,
the ball, got
they
it right
would
into
do
play.
it.
And Reggie
Next up,
Jackson would put the
Aubrey
icing on the cake as he got revenge on Bob Welch.
Pitch taken for a ball. And the count is 2-0.
I like to see a hit-and-run situation like this. The pitcher's behind the count, so he has to come over. The pitch out is unlikely, so why not hit and run?
I put that team up against any team.
2-ball, 1-strike count.
The Yankees had completed one of the most remarkable seasons in history, having been down 14
And that
games
one's
in the regular
foul.
season and 0-2 in the World Series. They'd fought through it all to repeat as champions.
Not many clubs could have gone through what we went through all year long.
Swing and a miss, struck him out.
That's what makes that whole year so special.
The Dodgers, Yankees, and Red Sox would see their fates intertwined for years to come. In
Runner on
1981,
first with
the
2
Dodgers
outs.
would have their revenge on the
Takes
Yankees.
the pitch
The
just off
Dodgers
the
are the
plate.
1981 champions of baseball.
Next pitch.
For the Yankees, it would
Takes
be
a
the
pitch
start of
foul.
a long
This might be a good
championship
time to start the
drought
runner
that
at
would
first and
last
play hit and
almost
run.
2 decades.
The count dictates that
and
the
end
pitcher
with
has to
4
throw
World
something over the
Series
plate.
titles in a 5-year span. And the Red Sox would ultimately find redemption as well.
The Boston Red Sox have won the pennant.
In
Line sharply to left for
2004,
a base
they
hit.
would become the first team to overcome a 3-0 playoff deficit to beat the Yankees.
He's on with a
their way
single.
to winning their first World
Hey, Kai,
Series
good work there to
in
get the runner in
86
scoring
years.
position.
This guy is a great hitter. Takes a pitch just off the plate, 1-0.
I can guarantee you that the pitcher isn't asking for all the balls.
Just off the plate, 2-0.
Terrible pitch. A slider way off the catcher's target, and the batter just watched it go by.
Out of play. The runners go. Get towards the shortstop. He's on his way to the plate. And the run scores. That's an RBI single.
Well, that's aggressive managing right there. You start the runner to get the fielders moving around.
Welcome
and
to
then, boom,
Baseball
you hit it where they ain't.
Seasons 1979. Family.
The Red Sox turn it over to the Pens. They brought in the righty, Ryan Dempster.
Baseball 1979 began with expectations of the familiar. After 2 straight years that had ended with the New York Yankees raising the World Series trophy.
Free agency had just started in 1976, and some teams had learned very early that they weren't able to cope with it. The economy of the country was the same for every team, but the economy of baseball was radically different for the haves and the have-nots. And we already had teams in California, New York, that were bidding high for free agents.
You can never stand pat with a winning hand. If you do, you're going to get beaten one of these days. And by going after Tommy John, we feel we got a plus and the Dodgers got a minus.
For the Angels, the prize was Rod Carew, obtained from Minnesota to help California make a run at George Brett and the Royals.
Caught in a rundown and tagged for the out.
Could win for
Scored
you.
2
Make
that
you
half
a
inning.
contender and put you in the World Series. Sure, I think
Stepping in,
that
Jason Barrington.
come over. So I thought we had a good chance because of just trying to acquire talent to win in that division with George Brett over at Kansas City. So it gave us another edge and another great ball player.
In the NL, there was a surprise in Cincinnati, where management decided too much rust had gathered on what was left of the Big Red Machine, and a signature star was allowed to leave town.
Pete had been with the Reds so long that this was the discussion all winter around Cincinnati. What is this team going to do without Pete Rose? A lot of fans felt at a loss.
No one on
and they just didn't think it would be the same team. It wasn't the same team without Pete, but it was still a good team.
A team without Rose and the manager who delivered 2 World Series titles, Sparky Anderson.
It was a very dramatic change. And John McNamara was a totally different type of manager, much more serious than Sparky. He knew how to manage the pitching staff. He stressed solid defensive play more than Sparky had done, but he didn't have the kind of offense that Sparky had managed with the previous Reds teams.
And right from the start, the new-look Reds would be challenged by an unexpected rival, the pitching-rich Houston Astros. With an arsenal of arms, including Ken Fish, who threw a no-hitter in just the team's second game.
With 2 outs, I can still recall the ground ball, that throw that Terry Reynolds made from shortstop all the way over to Cabell to end the game, and that was a special moment. First half of that season, it seems like everything went right for us. We were scoring runs, we were running well on the base paths, fielding was spectacular, pitching was really good.
And strike 3 call.
For the first time, we had a feeling that we're all right, we can compete.
Meanwhile, back east.
Phillies Baseball League Eastern Division champions, 3rd year in a row.
The Philadelphia Phillies were in search of a missing piece to help them turn division dominance into a World Series.
Nice single there.
So I immediately contacted Pete's agent, Ruben Katz, and I said, you know, if you're not going to stay in Cincinnati, we'd love to have you up there. And a few days later, Pete Rose signed with the Philadelphia Phillies.
This late sports word just in. Pete Rose will sign with the Phillies.
The Phillies think they're going to win it in the East? You got to be out of their mind. 2 or 3 more Pete Rose ain't going to help them.
Confidence. It was something the reigning NL MVP had in ample supply.
Parker was the brash guy, the talker. He wasn't afraid to speak out, say he was the greatest, and then prove it on the field. He was almost the Muhammad Ali of baseball at the time.
Confidence level was very high. I believed in my ability, and I even made a quote one time, if you want to know how good I am, ask me, I'll tell you.
But beyond the posturing, there was tremendous talent.
I would say from 77, 78, and 79,
this is it. They're going to have
he was
to
the
create
best
some
player
offense in a
nationally, maybe even in all of baseball.
And a player who evoked memories of another great Pirates right fielder. With his all-round skills and incredible arm.
We lost the great one, Roberto.
Look at the pitcher. He looks stunned.
And God gave us Dave Parker. And Dave Parker was something similar about Clemente.
Like Clemente, Parker had a slugging cohort in Willie Stargell, now an aging first baseman who'd won Comeback Player of the Year in '78. Together, they'd keyed a late-season run that had left Chuck Tanner's team just short of a division title.
Oh, we were talking World Series in the last game of the '78 year. We went in Chuck's office, Willie and myself, and told him, that's all right, Coach, we fell short this year, but we'll get there next year, Chuck.
But I honestly think that clubs who come very close
the bullpen is busy.
don't get there.
The manager's going to come out to give them a little bit more room.
Next year or the next 2 years. For the simple reason, there's something about hunger that makes human more determined than a guy that's just going out and saying, I want to be good.
And here comes the hook. Here comes a new pitcher.
Brought on a surge of capitalism in baseball in the late 1970s. The American economy was suffering from a recession and an oil shortage.
He delivers.
It is a crisis of confidence. The erosion of our confidence in the future is threatening to destroy the social and the political fabric of America.
He comes up a little
Part
bit
of
short.
America's fabric was baseball.
And
in 1979, fans could find inspiration in teams making unlikely runs like the Astros.
Yeah, Houston Astros are going to win the National League West. No doubt in my mind.
The first half of that season, it seems like everything went right for us. It was a really great run for us.
The Astros' chief division rival was the Reds, who had found a new offensive spark in the wake of Pete Rose's departure.
The one guy who really stepped in was Ray Knight.
Ball is hit sharp to the right side. Hit the right field for a base hit.
And Ray Knight had not done much on the major league scene because he hadn't had a chance to. Pete Rose had blocked his way at third base. But this was his one big coming out year to establish himself, and he seized the opportunity and ran with it. Had a very good year in '79.
As Cincinnati moved on without Rose at third, the Phillies began to reap the many benefits of signing Charlie
He's rounding
Hustle.
second.
He was one of the best I ever saw at
He
talking
slides
about
in
baseball
there for a triple.
and thinking about baseball
That was a perfect
and playing the
example of a
game
guy
of
thinking
baseball.
about extra
And I
base.
think that
When he
started
hit
to
that
rub
ball,
off on
that's
our
all he was
guys.
thinking
Rose's
about.
determination was evident in battles like baseball's highest-scoring game in more than a half-century, a 23-22 win over the Cubs.
There's a high fly to left. Look out now. Look out. It's gone. Mark Smith had just gotten his second home run of the day.
By late May, the Phillies had relinquished first place to a surprise contender, the Montreal Expos.
May, June, it really became evident to us that we were not only hanging with the top teams in the division, but that we were one of the top teams in the division.
Youth was at the heart of their unexpected success, starting with 25-year-old slugger Larry Parrish.
He could carry the team on his back for a week or 10 days, and he did that.
There was also an emerging star in the Montreal outfield, where the talents of Andre Dawson often seemed limitless.
Andre Dawson was a special player, a special blend of power and speed, a five-tool guy if there ever was one.
At bat with the double.
Monoy, Gary Carter,
He's always a threat.
And then there was the kid behind home plate, 25-year-old catcher Gary Carter.
We just really felt confident. We really felt that exuberance, and we're looking forward to having that winning season.
A season the Expos hoped would finally unseat Philadelphia atop the division.
Great way to end the game.
Meanwhile, in the AL West, there were several teams looking to do the same to three-time division champion Kansas City.
Picks up the win.
Like the Angels
Ramirez
and their
is the
new
loser.
catalyst, Rod Carew.
The Boston Red Sox
Everyone
win it by
expected me
3.
to come out and swing the bat consistently and moving runners, get runners into scoring position for the guys like Baylor.
And with Carew in front of him, Don Baylor was better than ever.
Carew set up a lot of things for me early in the season that really propelled me into driving a lot of runs.
Out east, Baltimore manager Earl Weaver liked to score runs with the 3-run homer and got the most out of his players by platooning them. In '79, the fundamentally focused Orioles seized control of first place in May.
He was not tolerant of throwing to the wrong base. He expected things to be done the Oriole way.
We had great ball players that could execute the fundamentals the way you want. The job has to be done on the field, not on paper or anything else. So that was the Oriole way.
They always said that if they could keep any team in baseball even for 7 innings, they felt that they would either win because their fundamentals were superior, or the game would be handed to them because the other team's fundamentals were inferior.
By early July, Baltimore's big division lead had led the 4th-place Yanks to jettison manager Bob Lemon in favor of familiar face Billy Martin.
As great as Lemon has been, and he's a great man and a great manager and my friend, I think he agreed with me that maybe a change in the menu would be time for it.
We're just going to go right on like we did before. We won before, we're going to do it again. And because the question right now is get everybody healthy and do our thing. Our thing is winning.
The 70s offered style and showmanship. No one more so in baseball than Bill and Mike Vack of the White Sox, who put Chicago's South Side again in the spotlight in 1979.
Bill Vack always had some type of gimmick going on. He was one of the only owners who had unique ways of making people want to come to the stadium.
Whether it was sending a midget up to the plate or put a shower out in the center field stands for Sox fans so they could cool off. That's the thing about Bill Vack. You come up with a lot of great ideas, and then you come up with ideas that should have died in the talking process.
It was called Disco Demolition Night. The gimmick, bring a disco record and enter the ballpark for just 98 cents.
This radio shock jock was supposed to be blowing up all the disco records in Chicago.
I'm gonna go blow up the records real good.
The DJ's name was Steve Dahl. Upset that disco was overtaking rock and roll on the airwaves. He'd gather the records and blow them up in center field in the middle of a doubleheader.
Here they go.
I mean, he blew up all these disco records.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
How anybody ever thought it'd be a good idea to blow up a bunch of records at center field between games of a doubleheader?
Then people started running onto the field. And a friend of mine, he was the first one to jump down, and he looked back and said, "Come on." And we all just looked at each other, and we were just like running and toward the infield. We didn't care.
This garbage of demolishing a record has turned into a fiasco.
What was going on the field? I mean, it looked like something out of a disaster movie.
Playing conditions on the field will not permit them to play the second ball game.
Could have been a lot worse. Nobody was seriously injured. They did eventually restore order, although they did have to forfeit game 2. I remember writing on my ticket stub, game forfeited due to disco demolition.
They may have been trying to kill disco in Chicago, but in the blue-collar confines of the Steel City, a 39-year-old first baseman they called Pops was encouraging everyone to embrace the message of a hit record.
We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
It started during the rain delay. They play music for the fans that hang around for the game. And the song came on, We Are Family. And Willie sent with Jacoby and told Jacoby, that's our theme song, and it just caught on.
You're not getting sick of the song yet?
Never get sick of that song. I love it.
And from that time, we called it the family. It was beautiful.
Everyone can sing, we're together as we walk.
Guys genuinely cared about each other. We all go out 16, 20 guys at a time. And that's how you build that type of camaraderie.
That man got on a gold uniform.
The Bucks were also about image, not just with the 18 varieties of their flashy uniforms, but also the Stargell Stars.
The Red Sox are trying to win their second game in a row. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Dwayne Kuiper here along with Mike Krukow on a great night for EA Sports MVP Baseball. On the mound to make the start for the home team, Matt Clement. Tonight's matchup is between the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and the Boston Red Sox.
Enjoy the game like when we were kids.
Here's the game's first batter, Carl Crawford.
Knowing that we had a job to do.
There's a drive. It's gone.
And it wasn't just
Line drive right to the shortstop. Good start to the inning, a leadoff single.
Time after time, getting that big base hit.
Time and time again.
Guy, that's what I like about this guy.
Confidence
He always gets it done. You ask him to get something done, boom, he
Stargell's
delivers.
confident and calming leadership kept the Bucks upbeat despite early stumbles in '79. The team's play was up and down in May and June. And then, when Pittsburgh acquired two-time batting champ Bill Madlock from the Giants, the family welcomed a new member.
When we got Madlock, that was it. We just said, here we come, folks. Ready or not, here we come.
We actually became better at two positions at the same time, with Madlock coming into play third base. Allowed us to move Phil Garner from third base to second base.
And it was just a perfect infield, offensively and defensively. Stargell at first, Garner at second, Foley at short, Madlock at third. That's when everybody felt like we're in for a fun ride.
You guys think this is fun, huh?
This dude just knows how to steal the bat.
On the mound, the Bucks were anchored by former 20-game winners John Calderone and Burt Blyleven.
1-2 from the Dutchman. Well, he got him. Beautiful breaking ball.
This is the year I think we've got to win. We've got personnel to do it. We've got a good, strong bullpen. We've got Kenton Colby. If he can come around again, have the year he had, it's going to be very interesting.
Led by Parker and Stargell at the plate, the Pirates sandwiched the All-Star break with a 9-game win streak. And in early August, grabbed first place in the NL East.
The family was out to greet him, Milo. Everybody out there.
Well, this crowd is really buzzing now.
That's what the team was. Led by Stargell, they were a family.
Sometimes you try a family important to fans in Pittsburgh, a city hit particularly hard by the nationwide recession.
People have their wishes and their jobs and careers and bigger fish to fry than watching their sports teams. But when the sports teams excel, it's always a wonderful respite to get away from maybe the reality, the challenges of life.
In a year that had already seen the Steelers win a Super Bowl, the Pirates were doing their part to lift the spirits of their beleaguered city.
We had a very hard time coping, and I think in the midst of that, sport really becomes something that is at the core of the identity of this city.
You can see how the people have identified with this ball club.
There was a lot of excitement going on in Three Rivers Stadium. Our club had kind of caught the imagination of the city also, so it was a good time to be a sports fan in Pittsburgh, and it was a good time to be a player in Pittsburgh.
In 1969, an upstart team came out of nowhere to do the impossible when the amazing Mets won the World Series.
He painted the black for that one.
10 years later, a team born in '69 was looking to do the same as the Extras fought the Pirates for the NL East title.
That was a pretty solid team for that 79 pennant stretch run. We were a young team and we had never experienced that before.
They couldn't do it without pitching.
Starting on the hill for the
Montreal
visiting
staff
team,
was an
Victor
eccentric
Zambrano.
offseason acquisition, the spaceman, Bill Lee.
79, there were some missing pieces, and having Bill Lee come into that starting rotation.
Strike 3 call.
Bill brought a ton of talent and a ton of pitching knowledge.
Then there was Steve Rogers, who led the league in shutouts.
Steve was a quality pitcher that a lot of teams didn't like to face.
He got it.
To me, he had probably the best stuff.
That changeup out of the zone, but the
As the
batter
Expos
did not
won,
bite.
average attendance nearly doubled at Olympic Stadium, creating a formidable and bilingual home-field advantage.
It was a hot tip. It was the place to be. It was a habit. And we were battling in the paint race. It became a very, very loud venue.
Good start to the inning. A leadoff single.
Meanwhile, the surging Reds held their own piece of '69 Mets magic in the form of Tom Seaver's right arm.
Swing and a miss.
He's breaking for second.
Supreme confidence.
That's a stolen base. Tom Seaver won 16 games in '79. He made a statement that was memorable. Long about maybe July or August, the Astros had a pretty big lead on the Reds, and Seaver said the Astros will drop.
Zambrano fires a fastball and misses.
And it works.
If the hit goes to right field, they may
As
not
the
want
Reds
to run.
chased Houston for first in the NL West all summer long, the Orioles coasted atop the AL East, to the delight of their colorful fans.
In 1979, the Orioles had an unofficial cheerleader, a cab driver named Wild Bill Hagen, who wore a battered straw cowboy hat.
He squeezes it for the out.
He would lead the Oriole cheer with letters O-R-O-L-E-S.
Zambrano delivers a ball, 1-0. Just catches the
And
corner
in
for a strike.
'79, Wild Bill was most excited by his team's strong arms.
We had tremendous pitching on that team. Mike Flanagan won the Cy Young Award. We had Jim Palmer, who had 3 Cy Young Awards. We had a great lefty in Scott McGregor. We had Dennis Martinez.
We knew that if we got one run with our pitching staff and our defense, that we should win that game.
And at the plate, the O's were anchored by Ken Singleton, who led the team in nearly every offensive category.
I think the guy that often gets left out is Ken Singleton. He was a solid 300 hitter.
Singleton was a guy that knew the strike zone, had a fantastic on-base percentage. Somebody has to get on if somebody's going to have RBIs.
But statistics and division races were suddenly overshadowed when tragedy struck the game one day in early August.
New York Yankees and sports fans everywhere suffered a great loss tonight. That of star catcher Thurman Munson, who was killed this afternoon in an airplane crash.
We went to the ballpark early. George came down and told us what happened. And George broke down and cried like a baby. As we all did.
Munson had died on a fateful visit home to see his family. Now his baseball family, the Yankees, attended his funeral in Ohio, where his best friend, Bobby Mercer, delivered a eulogy.
On the ground, we'll pick it up on a roll.
Number 15.
Got him.
But a living, loving, and legend. History report. My friend is number 1.
It wasn't an easy task. But I'm glad they asked me to do it.
Back at Yankee Stadium that night, Mercer and the Yanks did their best to honor their fallen teammate.
Brinkman grounds it to the shortstop.
Going out into left field will be Bobby Mercer, who has to be emotionally drained. He was one of those who delivered a eulogy today.
We knew Thurman meant a lot to the Yankees and their fans. He was the captain of the team. Guidry was pitching.
This batter is
We
nothing
were winning, I
special
believe,
when he's
4-0.
facing a righty
Bobby
on the
Mercer
mound.
hit a 3-run homer to make it 4-3.
And it's 0-1.
He strikes out about 8 per 9 innings. A pretty impressive total.
Off Tippy Martinez.
Marked by the center fielder.
We ended up winning the ball game because of it, so I ended up driving in all 5 runs.
Hit next. This hitter enjoys modest success against right-handed pitching. And a fastball in for a strike.
It was as if somebody was saying, you know, thanks for being there. A so-so slider.
The Yankee captain was gone, and his team was left to pick up the pieces.
That'll do it for the Devil Rays in the second.
They took all the wind out of us.
The bottom of the second. No score here.
Plan on doing. It was devastating.
The next batter is David Ortiz.
1979 was a year of personal milestones in baseball, including the final season of Lou Brock's Hall of Fame career. But before the winning stolen base king left, he joined one of the most elite clubs in the game.
He laid out
20,000 in the third game, only 13. They got 3,000 at home match. So I became number 14.
A month later, in Boston, Carl Yastrzemski became number 15.
Number 3,000 Yastrzemski. Zambrano delivers and it's 1-0.
That was a purpose pitch. Change up off the
It
plate,
was a
hoping the
season
batter would
of
go
hitting
chase.
achievements for the venerable Red Sox star. As Yaz became the first NL player in history to belt both 400 home runs and stroke 3,000 hits.
That's a pitch.
There's the moment.
Yaz and the Sox won 91 games in '79 for a third-place finish. In second, the Milwaukee Brewers, who set a franchise record for wins under George Bamberger.
The organization turned around when George Bamberger came in '78. He expected you to go out and play hard, play like you wanted to win every single night.
But in '79, the Brewers' 95 wins weren't nearly enough to win the AL East, as the first-place Orioles won more games than any other team in baseball.
That
all started with Earl Weaver, who imparted to his players the absolute ability to win and win consistently. That year we won 102 games, kind of ran away with things.
Baltimore wins it. Pull to the right
Out
side.
west, meanwhile, the Royals were aiming for a fourth straight division title behind a super year from George Brett, who became just the 5th player ever to hit 20 homers,
Here's the first batter of the inning.
20 doubles, and 20
This guy's
triples in a
speed always
season.
makes him a threat to bunt from here.
RBIs, runs scored, doubles, triples, home runs. I think it was my best year.
But when September came, it was the Angels leading the division, thanks to a front runner for the MVP award.
Don Baylor, who's kept the hitting temperature red hot.
If there's anyone in the league that was going to win it that year, it had to be Donnie, because every occasion when we needed a big hit or someone to hit the ball out of the ballpark, Baylor was there.
Winning the MVP really didn't cross my mind. The only thing that crossed my mind was the Angels winning the division.
And nearly 2 decades after they debuted in California, the Angels finally clinched their first playoff berth.
Tanana was on the mound. That was a ground ball hit to Carew.
Porter sends it to Carew. This should do it. He knocks it down. He goes to Tanana.
You talk about making a good pitch right there. He was really backed up against the wall. And then he digs deep, makes great pitches, and gets the strike in.
The Western Division. title. They have said, yes, we can.
Here's a guy who hits right-handed pitching fairly well.
They will, and yes, they did.
Hit towards the
In the
shortstop.
NFL, the races would prove more competitive and ferocious. Out west, Cincinnati and Houston battled for the title. And despite scoring the fewest runs in the league and having no player with more than 9 homers, the Astros had the late season lead.
Really, we didn't have the power numbers. I don't know, maybe we hit maybe 50 home runs all year, but we did have good pitching, and the defense was really good, so we managed to win some ball games.
The race turned on a crucial 2-game series in mid-September, with Houston leading by just half a game.
When you play so long with nobody expecting anything from you, and then all of a sudden there's pressure on you that, hey, these guys can win, I think that weighed on a lot of us.
Third out, we go to the bottom of the inning. Catch of the year. After 2.5, no score here. By 1.5. The pennant race was red hot.
They really pulled together pretty well. As a team, it was able to come from behind, overtake the Houston Astros in September.
The Reds were the National League's Western Division champions.
In the East, the issue was still in doubt with a week left in the season when the upstart Expos arrived in Pittsburgh, clinging to a half-game lead over Willie Stargell and his family.
And on 3 pitches,
We lost 3 out of 4. Splitting the series would have given us a fighting chance, losing 3 out of 4.
Batters in the middle of the pack.
It wasn't gone, but it was now out of our hands.
On the season's final day, the Pirates clinched their 6th division title of the decade. Their return made it 4 new teams headed to the playoffs after 2 years of repeat champions. New adventures awaited on the diamond in
He hits it
October.
over towards second. Got him for the out.
It is a cool, crisp night here in Cincinnati. You can feel the excitement as we get ready for this championship series.
Entering 1979, the Reds and Pirates had met 3 times in the NLCS in the 70s. Cincy had won each time.
And a strike.
That rivalry was just like
really jumped out of his shoes to swing at that changeup. Somehow he didn't make contact.
Raised up, bang, like
A 3-pitch strikeout.
And in the 11th inning of Game 1, Stargell struck the first big blow.
A high, deep drive. It's back into deep right center, and it's going to be out of here for a 3-run home run.
Willie was a clutch hitter. I know Tom Hume couldn't get him out. Every time he faced Tom Hume, he took him deep.
Willie Stargell explodes one out of here to deep right center field. The Pittsburgh Pirates jump out in front 5-2.
The next night, it was Dave Parker's turn, as the game again went to extra innings, and again, a big Pirate bat looked to come through in a big spot.
You look down the bench and you look and see who's going to win the ball game.
Here's a guy that
2 guys
understands
with
hitting,
Willie Stargell
and it shows.
for Dave Parker.
There it is, left field.
Liner right at the second baseman.
Here comes the throw. Right in, not in time.
Thanks to the clutch performances of their big guns, the Pirates had taken 2 in Cincinnati, setting the stage for a sweep.
Parker makes the catch, and the Pittsburgh Pirates in 10 innings defeat the Cincinnati Reds by the score of 3-2.
Sharp
And in
slider
Pittsburgh, 2
outside
days
for a
later,
ball.
it would be the man they called Pops again, leading the
Clement
way
with the
with his
1-0
bat.
delivery. It's hit out to center.
There's a drive. The ballpark will
Puts it away for the out. The runner scores on the sacrifice fly.
We were sky high.
Harvey got under it.
We went to him like a buzzsaw, but it was about
That's how
time.
you do it.
One of the great players in all of baseball, and he says they're number 1 just in the National League
He's
for
up
now.
there
He
in
got
search
one
of
more
his
step to
second
go
hit of the
something.
game.
God, on occasion all year, we do that too.
While Parker and the family swept past the Reds, the NLCS pitted the battle-tested against the upset-minded.
Tonight it is Earl Weaver's Orioles against Jim Fragosi's Angels, the first and best of 5.
We knew that the Orioles were a very tough ball club. We knew that we had our hands full.
Going into the Angels series, everybody
Pitchers
around the
ahead,
Orioles
1 and
expected
2.
them to win.
Expectations in place in part because of Weaver's reputation for playing the right hand at the right time. Like sending up pinch hitter John Lowenstein in the bottom of the 10th in Game 1.
Ground hard enough to get past the infield for a base hit. That ball's smoked.
The count's 1-0.
Right now, the defense should be thinking, too. The pitcher can really help out by
Kind of
doing
didn't know
something
what hit
Bowman
us
strikes.
the first game. It happened so fast.
And in Game 2, the Orioles look to maintain momentum early.
First pitch to Murray.
They turn two. Now there's a great example of the defense picking you up. They turned a sweet double play right there.
In a slugfest, the Orioles would hang on for a 9-8 win.
The 6-8 will tag out Taylor.
The next batter is Lance Berkman.
So the Orioles and the Angels now will go to California for Game 3 of the playoffs tomorrow night.
In Anaheim, the Angels were desperate, and trailing 3-2 in the ninth, they put 2 on with 1 out for second baseman Bobby Grich.
And all of a sudden, I saw the ball started to drop, and I said to myself, this ball's going to fall in. This batter came in, and the ball just went off his glove. I ended up scoring from second base. And then to go on and win the ball game, I think people started to believe that we did have a chance to beat Baltimore.
Down low for a ball. Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase.
The Orioles really wanted to make sure that Bumby wasn't good. They loved him. It was really the spark that made them come out of themselves and play for somebody else, not just to get to the World Series.
And the next afternoon, Scott McGregor took his center fielder off the hook with a masterful complete game shutout to clinch it.
Prime Kennedy trying to sweat back right here. Zambrano ready for the 0-1 pitch. They check with the first base umpire.
Would be a rematch of the 1971 Fall Classic. That year, Stargell and company had gotten the best of Weaver's club in 7 games. Now, another epic battle awaited.
Got a good jump on the ball for back
Matching the Pirates and the Orioles.
Next at the plate,
In the Fall
David
Classic's
Ortiz.
storied history, only once before had a series opener been postponed. 1979 would be the second time.
Last night there was a game that should have been played, but the weather outside was frightful.
That's the third out with 1 man left the board.
Waiting for the rain to stop, but it never did
the
stop.
score is 2-0.
Very, very cold.
This morning they woke up to snow.
I remember waking up that morning to a snowstorm thinking I had missed the whole World Series.
When the weather finally cleared, the Orioles and Pirates steeled themselves for an October rematch.
These two teams last met 1971. The Pirates won in 7 games.
71 was my first one. That's just a real special niche that I can always cherish.
Way out of strike zone. The batter
79.
The Pirates captain, first baseman, Willie Stargell.
I knew that if we did certain things, we could do it. And these guys had the desire.
Inside, 2 balls.
For the 4 games go in to win the 1979 Fall Classic. That's exactly what you saw right there.
On the ground to third.
And as the action got underway at a frenzied Memorial Stadium, the Orioles immediately loaded the bases in the first.
When this guy hit the infielder should be on their toes. This guy's got some great
wheel away.
Throws it away.
I threw it about 10 feet
He
over his head
reaches on the
left
infield
field.
single.
2-run score.
Crawford, they got a great butt right
opened the
there.
floodgates for the Baltimore Bats.
Doug DeCinces comes up now.
I can remember hitting a home run in my first at bat in the World Series.
Up next, Aubrey Huff.
And as a high drop, hits the left field, going way back. It's gone.
First and second with nobody out. Pitch taken for a ball. He's batting .355 with 35 home runs and 117 RBIs.
With 23-game winner Mike Flanagan on the mound, a 5-run lead appered insurmountable.
With the 2-0
The Pirates, however, had thrived on overcoming odds the entire season.
So long. It's a 5-4 ball game.
After that homer in the 8th, Stargell had a chance to even it in the 9th with 2 out and a tying run on 3rd.
So it comes down to this.
Manager Earl Weaver still sticks with his 23-game winner.
Mike didn't show any signs of fatigue at that point, and they let him go ahead and pitch.
And with his 137th pitch of the evening, Flanagan and the Orioles survived Game 1.
Baltimore wins it. Well, you really can't say enough, I don't think, for the gutty performance of Mike Flanagan.
It wouldn't be any easier for the Pirates in Game 2 as Baltimore sent a future Hall of Famer to the mound.
There he is,
towards the
starting
shortstop.
pitcher for the Birds, one of the greatest pitchers of his time.
Hey, partner, you may not want to think about this
But
game
against
for a while.
Palmer, Bill
He hasn't
Melbach
exactly
in
been
Pittsburgh
shining
broke
moment in his
through
career.
early.
The
This batter pounds the ball off right-handed pitchers.
To right center field. It's going to be in there for a base hit. Singleton gets over there and cuts it off. Starkville comes to score. Where he gives the start, Will.
A sacrifice fly made it 2-0 Pirates. But then the Orioles' young star first baseman went to work.
Misses upstairs for a ball.
With 2 big swings, Eddie Murray single-handedly tied the game.
Way back. If it's gone, it's gone. It's gone. Left center field, and that could be in the gap and up against the wall.
3-2 count.
They're going to have to do something out there. Some of these pitches ain't even close.
The game stayed tied into the 9th.
Turns on it and hits it on the line.
Chuck Tanner pinch hit third-string catcher Norman Sandier, who'd driven in just 4 runs all season.
Get to the right side. It's going to be in there for a base hit. Singleton flag short.
Like a good pitch, but call the ball. He swiped 9 bases.
No! Pirates get the lead. It's going out of that way.
And when Kent Tekulve sealed it, this series was tied.
The Pirates win.
And look at that Pirate dugout emptying out. There is Manny Sandier, the hero of the moment.
You felt like you won the series when you split. And you come back to Pittsburgh.
Great pitch in the flat. We're going to call strike you if the batter didn't swing
Hot
through.
here in our ballpark. We all thought that we were coming home to win the series.
And as Game 3 got underway, the Pirates rode that confidence to a fast start.
Always seem to come around to hurt you.
With 1 in the first and 2 in the second, the Bucks led 3-0.
Next up is alive.
But the Orioles hadn't won 102 regular season games by accident. And Weaver's mastery of the platoon showed when part-time starters Benny Ayala and Kiko Garcia had big hits to key Baltimore's
He
comeback.
hits it hard to left field and deep. Going into the bottom of the 5th. The score is 5-0.
Dempsey comes in to score. They are waving
Ramirez is the next hitter.
Weaver has the look of a genius at the moment.
Earl Weaver knew exactly what he could get out of his players. He knew how to platoon them. He knew how to use them.
Ayala and Garcia drove in 6 of the 8 Orioles.
If the pitcher makes a mistake to this guy,
giving
it better
Baltimore
not
a
be up.
2-1 series
Watch out.
lead.
The Baltimore Orioles come from behind to win game number 3.
Swinging a high fly ball.
Game 4 was pivotal for the Pirates. And in the first, Willie Stargell once again displayed his uncanny offensive timing.
Just off the plate, 1-0.
What Willie did in the 1979 World Series was basically no different than what he had done for us all year long.
So the great man comes through and gives the Bucks an early lead.
But leading by 3 in the 8th, the Pirate ship sank as the Oriole bats once again came to life.
It's a double and it's 6-5. And Baltimore will take the lead. Baltimore 9, Pittsburgh 6.
Look at them. There is joy there.
We're jumping up and down. We're very excited. We jumped ahead 3 games to 1.
The Orioles for the second day in a row come from behind.
I think we acted a little prematurely and thought that the World Series was already over.
Stepping in, Mike Lowe.
As Game 5 of the 1979 World Series approached, the Pirates were trailing 3 games to 1 and dealing with a loss in the family.
That morning, I had learned Chuck Tanner's mother had died. Wow, that just kind of put a shadow over the club.
Strike swinging. He was
The
behind
team
that
loved it,
pitch.
and his mother was a huge fan. We knew it was hurting him, you know, the fact that she was sick, and then to find out that she passed.
He goes out to
You know
right.
where this man's heart will be. So if he doesn't even show up, we can clearly understand.
The throw is
and I
not
hear
in
this
time.
Chuck Tanner Norton
That's a double.
voice coming in the clubhouse. Had to be tearing him down, but you would never know it.
And makes the statement, you know, my mother was a huge Pirate fan. She knew we needed some help, so she went to get us some.
And that sent a chill through all of us.
This is Tanner, Chuck's mother, passing away this morning.
He goes the other way.
Club down 3 games to 1.
His foot misses
Here
the
we go.
bag.
Game 5.
And beginning with what appeared to be a pitching mismatch between Cy Young winner Mike Flanagan and a Pirates pitcher who had won just 4 games all season long.
The next batter is
A surprising starter, 37-year-old Jim Rooker.
That was crazy.
Oh, what a beauty. On the inside corner.
Rooker today retired the first 10 men he faced.
Ground ball gets a short.
He's pitching like Flanagan.
That'll do it for the inning.
He pitched the best game
did
of his
not bring his
career.
A game in.
Couldn't ask for a man to give you any more at a better time.
A couple of hits this half inning
Tim Rooker pitched an
equals 1
absolute
run.
brilliant game. 5 innings and kept us in the ball game. Gave us an opportunity to win.
And the Bucs offense took care of the rest.
The center field exhibition. Here comes Parker. It's 2-1 Pittsburgh.
Now the folks are seeing their Bucks the way they played all year.
Chuck Canner's mother passed away, and I still believe that his team rallied around him, and I think that gave them a big boost.
In a strange way, the tragic death of Chuck Tanner's mother has affected this team and uplifted them.
2 nights later, the Pirates hoped the momentum followed them back to Baltimore for a marquee pitching matchup between John Candelaria and Jim Palmer.
Just had 2 of baseball's best pitchers going at it, and on the biggest platform that you can go at it on.
It's going to be something. A Candelaria, if he can contain Baltimore, we go to number 7. Palmer wins, it's all over.
John Candelaria had some major back problems going on, and he was in a lot of pain.
Candelaria working on 3 days rest with a damaged back.
Just one of the gutsiest performances I think I've ever seen from a guy under adverse conditions like that.
John the Candyman has been super tonight. Worked 6 brilliant innings.
And in the 7th, the Pirates finally broke through for 2 runs off of Palmer, and then followed with 2 more in the 8th for a commanding lead.
As that game goes on, the innings are starting to pass by, and you're not putting any runs on, and you don't get a very good feel.
Swing and a miss. The game is over. Jacoby slams the door on Baltimore.
They're making a pitching change. They're going to the
Make it
pen.
all even after 6 games.
The Pirates may have had the momentum, but only 3 times in series history had a team come all the way back from a 3-1 deficit.
They had the momentum, and it was going to be tough to beat them at that point. We knew we couldn't make any mistakes.
Trailing 1-0, heading to the 6th, the Pirates needed to once again strike late. This time, though, their leader already had a vision of what was to come.
I saw the 7th game in its entirety the night after the 6th game.
He makes the catch.
Even though I was very sick.
That's a great play on a very top line drive. That's one of the toughest balls in baseball to judge.
You can tell Willie's struggling with a cold.
But I knew that we were
And there's a swing and a miss.
Once again, Scott.
Great pitch in the flat. Would have been a call strike even if the batter didn't swing through.
I knew that I was going to play a major role.
Hit well, right field. Singleton to the wall, and this ball is gone.
Willie Stargell, the big man.
And true enough, with the game being on the line, it was written for Willard to be the star, and he was.
Figgins looks at the ball low.
That's a good change in that situation. Try to make that batter go physical.
That one just missed.
Way to go, big man. All right, that's the way to put it to the front. All right.
If you're not humbled in this game, you're about to be,
3-2.
as we all know.
Last chance for Baltimore. Kelly hits it in the air to center field. Moreno.
Strike 3 and he's gone.
Partner, he gets ahead of him and he never looks back.
And we
Sweet
got humbled,
strikeout.
and that stinking Pirate family team beat us.
And so this team, with its remarkable comeback capacity, coming from a 3-1 deficit.
How can you quit with guys like Willie Stargell around? I think if he was to retire one of these days, I think we'd all go with him because he just is something special to us.
The Devil
79
Rays
will always
lead by
be
4.
number 1 in my heart because I did it with a guy that was like a brother and a father to me.
We've overcome a lot of things. We never gave up. We refused to be denied. I'm just so proud of each and every one of our individuals and to the Proud organization.
In the right field.
This is the city of champions, and they're very proud.
The catcher's mitt.
1979 is simply a crowning achievement, winning the World Series and the Super Bowl in the same year, and doing it in such dramatic fashion.
The count's 0-1.
This song is the 1979 Pittsburgh Pirates. Even to this day, they are remembered as the family with Willie Stargell and the last World Series championship for the city. It was remarkable.
Thank you very much.
Hit foul.
While the Orioles came up short in the 1979 World Series, they'd get their championship 4 years later.
That's 3 strikeouts.
I don't know what he's looking for there, but it wasn't that pitch.
albeit without the man who led them throughout the 1970s. Earl Weaver retired in 1982,
Up next, David Ortiz.
as did at last Willie Stargell. Though Stargell died in 2001 at the age of 61, his spirit still endures.
Him in his black and gold uniform with the stars on his hat and him leaping in the air with both arms. And that's the way I always remember him and hold that in my heart.
6 innings
No
played,
Pirates
the
team
score is
has won a
5-1.
World Series title since. But the
next
legacy
with
of
one
Pops and the
single already,
1979 team remains
Hey, this guy's a
etched
play
in the
flat out
consciousness
fly.
of
You
the city
better
of
go right
Pittsburgh
after him because you
and
don't
the
want
game
to put
of
him on for
baseball
free.
to this day. Not just as champions, but as family.
He's headed to third. A 3-base hit.
But now they've got to take advantage of that guy.
The Devil Rays have someone tossing in the bullpen. At bat with 1 home run, Aubrey Huff.
All he needs is a deep fly ball, and they should score a run.
The count's even at 1. He's going back at the track, the wall, and this one is gone.
It's a great spot to put that ball, but the batter went down and just golfed it out.
The Devil Rays have activated the bullpen.
Welcome to baseball seasons 1980 Hot Corner Champions.
The manager is going to buy his bullpen some time with this mound
Every
visit.
World Series showcases the best baseball has to offer. The 1980 Fall Classic was no different, featuring 2 of the greatest third basemen of all time at the height of their powers.
The pitch to Schmidt. Long drive, he buried it. He buried it. Unbelievable.
George Brett, the Kansas City franchise. He really woke up America going for 400.
While both of these future Hall of Famers possessed awards and accolades, one common goal eluded them both, a world championship. In 1980, something had to give.
We get in the habit to bust our ass out of home plate and run the first, even if we're out. It sets a pattern for the Phillies in 1980.
And while springtime usually ensures optimism throughout baseball, in Clearwater, Florida in 80, there was a far more ominous climate.
In the mid-70s, we had a tough time closing the deal in the National League Championship Series.
Griffey swings, slow shot for right side. Here comes Concepcion, and the 1976 pennant belongs to the Reds.
The city was just starved for winning baseball.
And this ball is grabbed by Luzinski. It's a double for Manny Mota.
We lost the National League Championship 3 years in a row.
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase you. That's exactly what you saw right there.
That team had had so much disappointment, and the fans were getting tired of them not being able to succeed.
You guys
Ground ball
They
to the
needed
right
to get to
side.
the World Series that year because they had the disappointments in 76, 77, 78.
This year, there's probably more pressure on our ball club than ever because we've been told by the front office that if they don't do it this year, they're going to have to break up the ball club.
A year earlier, free agent Pete Rose had been brought in.
I know when we played them in '76, they had a lead against us in a couple of the games in the playoffs. They just lacked that killer instinct.
Despite Pete's .331 average in '79, the 3-time defending NL East champs finished a disappointing 4th, prompting another move.
At the end of the season, they fired Danny Ozark, and they brought in Dallas Green to evaluate the team the last month of the season.
All the club really loved Danny Ozark.
They didn't care for Dallas Green at all.
Next up, I'm not going to make you hit and run all the time, sweetheart.
I made things a little tough for him.
Dallas looked at that group and thought they were way too comfortable, way too satisfied for a team that had never won a postseason series. And that's what he set out to change.
Seventh-inning stretch. Didn't you sing
like the Phillies, perennial playoff failures seem to be haunting the Kansas City Royals.
That was like going to my backyard, singing to take me out to the ball game at
From
Wrigley.
1976 to 78, the Royals were ALCS participants.
It was kind of like David and Goliath as far as small market Kansas City against the big bad Yankees.
But the pitcher and catcher had a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking the
I was irritated because I knew that we weren't that far away.
The Yankees win the American League pennant, and with their joy, Patek is down along the first base line.
They beat us all 3 times, and so by 1980 it was a big rivalry. They didn't like us, we didn't like them.
So the overriding mantra of the Royals' spring was quite similar to that of the Phillies. A need to clear their respective hurdles.
We knew to get the respect we needed as an organization that sooner or later we had to beat the Yankees.
Feeling a need for more pop in their lineup, KC traded for Angel slugger Willie Mays Aikens. And in another parallel to the Phillies' fine-tuning, the Royals replaced manager Whitey Herzog with rookie manager Jim Fry.
Exactly what you saw right there.
We're looking forward to playing under Jim Fry. He knows the game. He's been in the game a long time. So we won a championship in Kansas City.
If the Royals were to improve on their second-place 79 finish and perhaps get to a World Series, they'd need George Brett to continue to carry them on his back. A challenge he appeared ready to tackle.
I would like to start the season hot and end it hot and see what kind of year I can put together. You always read about the Jim Rices and the Fred Lynn's and the Rod Carews, which is great. They're great ball players. Someday I'd like to pick up a paper and read about George Brett.
For Brett and the Royals to make the World Series, they would need to decode the secret of the defending AL champion's success.
Excuse me, you guys want to get over there, please?
In '79, when we went to the World Series, lost to the We Are Family Pirates. And so coming into 1980, we felt pretty good about ourselves as a team.
And why not? Winners of 102 games in '79, the O's were returning a combined 60 homers and 210 RBIs from their switch-hitting power tandem of Ken Singleton and Eddie Murray.
I can't remember any more powerful switch-hitting combinations than Kenny Singleton and Eddie Murray.
As usual, the Orioles had top-shelf pitching, which included the winningest pitcher of the 70s, Jim Palmer, and 1979's Cy Young Award winner, Mike Flanagan.
The Orioles will be there. The Orioles are a winning tradition.
So as the '80 season was set to begin, Earl Weaver's checklist for success was punched.
Earl loved the 3-run home run, and we had guys that could hit 3-run home runs. We had pitchers that could pitch complete games, and Earl was smart enough to realize he had a really well-rounded ball club.
Second baseman makes the catch.
In stark contrast, the '80 Yankees appeared vulnerable. Coming off a subpar fourth-place finish, the Yankees had to replace their catcher and captain Thurman Munson, whose death the previous summer had shocked baseball.
We thought we could come back in '79 like we did in '78, and then when that happened, we couldn't make a comeback like we were planning on doing, but it was devastating.
Yanked to the left side.
Coming over in an off-season trade with Toronto, young catcher Rick Cerrone sensed the void would be tough to fill.
I hope people don't think I can step right in and replace people that have been there. I'm not capable of doing that right yet. I'm 25 and I think I'm still improving.
Reggie Jackson was looking to improve on his 29 homers and 89 RBIs in '79. Both team highs. And with new manager Dick Hauser providing stability after the Billy Martin, Bob Lemon merry-go-round, the Yanks hope to give the O's a run for their money in the '80s.
With this guy hitting kite, the infielder
How many people went out to see my sign after the billboard?
The Bucs skipper fired a spring salvo at those hoping to dethrone his world champion Pirates.
They say uneasy lies the man that wears the crown. Well, I always say uneasy lies the man that tries to catch the man that wears the crown.
Just like the '70s, the 1980s version of the Bucs also looked to be lumber company scary.
Madlock, Easler, Parker in the heart of it, and Pops, okay, he's 40 years old, but he also swung a 40-ounce bat, so you had to honor that.
The rest of the division was hoping that the family had indeed aged and was now ready for the taking.
We knew that the club was getting older. Obviously, Willie was getting older.
Come on, Will.
But when you're coming off a World Series championship, you're going to try to make another run, and that's what we thought we were going to do.
That's all.
30 games over 579. The youthful Expos finished 2 games behind the world champion Pirates, making a strong statement as an up-and-coming team.
By 1979, we had become a contending team, primarily because of everyone coming together that had started in the minor league system.
Steve Rogers, Gary Carter, Andre Dawson, Ellis Valentine, and Larry Parrish made for an explosive and formidable core.
They know where it's coming. And looking at the division tight as it's going to be, we figured to be right in it to the last day again this year.
After missing the playoffs in '79 by a game and a half, the Houston Astros were not on the fence concerning expectations for 1980.
Have a righty warming up in the bullpen.
Going in, we felt like we had a chance. They'd made a couple additions that made us a little deeper.
One such change was free agent Joe Morgan, highly credentialed with 2 MVP awards and World Series rings with the Big Red Machine.
They hadn't won, and Joe was a proven winner. I think more than anything, he brought the winning way to our ballpark.
While the Morgan signing added stability, the addition of Nolan Ryan as the first ever $1 million a year player brought big-time credibility to the emerging Astros.
Put him with J.R. Richards, you got 2 of the best throwers in the business.
J.R., along with Nolan Ryan, were the 2 great power pitchers in Major League Baseball, and J.R. might have had the larger fear factor.
Coming off 4 consecutive seasons of at least 18 wins and 2 straight years with more than 300 strikeouts, Richard indeed cast a long shadow.
When I'm out there, it's my turn. I think I would have struck out $300 next 4 or 5 years because I was increasingly getting better, my control was getting better, and I was learning how to pitch a lot better.
With 21-game winner Joe Niekro and his knuckleball between flamethrowers Richard and Ryan, the Astros' starting pitching appeared to be top flight. L.A. was coming off an uncharacteristic subpar season as they finished 11.5 games off the NL West pace. That didn't sit well with the Dodgers.
I'm looking forward to 1980. I want to dismiss 79 from my mind and my memory.
The Dodgers were hopeful that their tenured infield of Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes, Bill Russell, and Ron Say, now entering their 7th straight full year together, would anchor another drive to the pennant.
Well, one thing I remember from 1918 was an extraordinarily talented team with a great blend of veterans. There's a lot of young talent coming in.
Of that young talent, 22-year-old reliever Steve Howe stood out the most due to his electrifying stuff.
Steve came from the AA baseball in 1979 to spring training, and I don't think anyone would allow a foul ball from in spring training. It was unbelievable.
Howe jumped out of the gate with a win and 3 saves in April, on his way to an eventual Rookie of the Year award. But that performance paled in comparison to what J.R. Richards' opening month could produce.
When we faced the Dodgers and J.R. was pitching, we knew it was going to be an easy game for him because Tommy kept all those right-handers in the lineup. And it was like a hot knife going through butter. He threw a one-hitter at him one time.
The one-hitter was Richards' 2nd April win versus L.A. For the month, he had 48 strikeouts in just 37 2/3 innings.
He was on track to have his best season yet, which is really saying something.
Another pitcher making a loud statement was the Phillies' Steve Carlton.
When your ace, your horse, your #1 starter is on the mound, everybody feels good about winning.
May of 80 had many winning days for Carlton as he went 6-1 for the month to up his record to 9-2, a mark that ballooned to 14-4 by the All-Star break. Joining him on the pitching staff was the team's emotional leader and relief ace, Tug McGraw.
He would hit his heart with his glove, smile, and a twinkle in his eye. And he was very successful.
Success was contagious in him, and Mike Schmidt found a way to take his punishing offense to yet another level.
That was the point after about 7 years in the league that Mike became actually a good hitter, understanding his strengths, not just the home runs.
May was especially sweet for Mike Schmidt. 12 homers and 29 RBIs give him Major League lead.
Despite the individual efforts, the Phils trailed the Pirates at the end of May by a game in a division that would go down the wire. As the calendar flipped from May to June in the American League West, the Royals were having a great year as they were on a fast track to success.
We utilized our ballpark tremendously with the doubles, the triples, so we were never a power team because of Kauffman Stadium. It was critical for us to have a lot of jackrabbits.
The first guy, you know, was Willie Wilson, who was the fastest guy in baseball.
Known as one of the game's most disruptive base runners, Wilson would go on to steal 79 bags in 80, while leading the league in hits, triples, and runs scored.
Willie was the person that set the table for us.
And the job of closing out the opposition went to Dan Quisenberry, an emerging star in just his first full season.
He's a big man out of the bullpen. Zambrano is the winner.
But as great as Quiz's year was, it was a teammate who was having a season for the ages.
I kept telling myself that I was the best player in the game, even though I wasn't, but I tried to convince myself that I was.
Following a lackluster April, Brett batted .329 in May. And in 9 games in June, before suffering a leg injury, Brett foreshadowed a memorable summer by hitting .472.
He was our club. You know, we lived and died by George.
So not coincidentally, after Brett warmed with the weather, the Royals had opened an 8-game lead by the end of June. As baseball paused for its midsummer classic, the eyes of the nation focused on the game's most dominant pitcher.
From the Houston Astros, J.R. Richard.
He was the best pitcher in both leagues at that time.
J.R. Richard warmed up at about 95 miles an hour. Big kick. Whoa, what a bullet.
The radar guns at All-Star time had him up over 100 miles an hour.
The pitch to Fisk, gone. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a fastball at better than 100 miles an hour.
JR just lit up the guns. He lit up the world of everything going on Major League Baseball-wise at the time.